Let's look at a verse in 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1. Now you're going to notice this verse starts with a therefore. And I want you to know that a therefore is always there for a reason. It has to do with what's come before it. But we're going to start there. We're going to look at why he says therefore. What is he concluding? What is the Apostle Paul saying? So he says, 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1, he says, therefore, having these promises. So the therefore is pointing backwards to the promises he just related previously. So therefore, having these promises, beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and spirit, perfecting holiness in the fear of God. So the goal and the objective that he's getting at is the perfection of holiness in you, in me, in us. And he's giving directions that you have these promises. And the promises, we'll look back at those in just a minute, have to do with God's heart and his desire for you. Because he makes these promises, and these are really, really good ones. And it shows his care, his concern, his desire, his heart for you. And these are important. So you have these declarations of God's promises. It's been revealed. Knowing that, he says. And so let's look at those promises. And you can look just back up into the previous chapter, verse 16, verse 17, verse 18. He shares some promises. And he's quoting in these from the Old Testament. The first one, verse 16, is God has said, I will dwell in them and walk among them. This is God stating his desire to truly be in union with you, to dwell with you, among you, to be connected with you. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. He is talking about a connection, a union, a oneness. This is God's desire, and this is his promise. He's not just saying, I want this. He says, I will have this. This is what will happen. This is what will be. Verse 17, and therefore come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord. So I'm not identifying with the nations, with people that are not seeing their union with God, but are walking contrary to that. He says, and this is from the Old Testament, he says, come out from among them and be separate. Don't touch what's unclean, and I will receive you. The promise is, I will receive you. And we're going to see when we look back even further, he says, what communion, what fellowship does cleanness have with uncleanness? Does unholiness have with holiness? Does unrighteousness have with righteousness? They don't go together. And so truly pursuing God's heart and what he's doing means that there are things that I do leave behind. There are things that I embrace. And he continues, verse 18, I will be a father to you. This is a dad saying to his children, I want the best for you. I want you to share in the fullness of what you're here for. And you shall be my sons and daughters, says the Lord Almighty. This is his declaration and his promise. He wants you to see that you are his child. He is the Father, and he wants the best for you. So when we back up further, understanding this therefore, and this letting us cleanse ourselves, how do we cleanse ourselves? He goes all the way back, and we'll back up here to verse 11. He says that we didn't restrict you. Your restrictions are not from us. We are very open. We're very free with you. Your restrictions, this is verse 11, chapter 6. You are restricted by your own affections, your own desires, your own lusts. You're putting yourself into the context of this is what the flesh is crying for. This is what I've learned to want and to desire and to go after. And it's bringing you into bondage. And so he says, that we didn't give you this restriction. We gave you and brought to you freedom. And then he goes into verse 14 about don't be unequally yoked together. How does this work? Don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers, with people that have a different perspective that are pulling and dragging you down. He doesn't say don't be among them, but the yoke metaphor is being connected and working together with. But when you've got two animals, two oxen in a yoke, and they're trying to go different ways, it doesn't get anything done. So don't be joined with that which is contrary to what you are to be joined with. And you are actually to be yoked with Jesus, yoked with Christ in his yoke, and he sows the way. So when we look at other verses and other scriptures, we see like reckon yourself dead to sin and alive unto God. But if I embrace sin as my nature and what I'm going to do, then I'm just justifying and excusing its presence, not saying, wait, that's not who I was made to be. And I'm not emphasizing my union with God, which was the promise that he gave, is what he wants. And so when we look back in chapter 7, verse 1, so therefore, having these promises of being his child, he being my father, him dwelling with me with him, let us cleanse ourselves from all filthiness of the flesh and spirit. That's anything that speaks a different identity and a different purpose in my life. I'm going to cling to these promises, my union with God. He is my father. I am his child. I'm going to listen to him and I'm going to follow him. And therefore, by doing so, we perfect holiness in the fear, the respect, the reverence, the awe of God, listening to him and following him.